Good morning and welcome to another video edition of my AI newsletter, AI versus Marshy. And before I jump into the nuts and bolts of this week, I just wanted to say if you're an AFL supporter, you might have seen the score last night when the Bulldogs played. Anyway, onto the news we covered this week. As always, you can find the newsletter at lukemarshall.net/newsletter. And let's go through what we covered this week. So the first thing I wanted to share was a bit of a exclusive, which is a first look at Meta releasing AI in Instagram. I also want to talk about something very technical and exciting from the Google Moonshot Factory and try and explain it in human words. And then I also just want to I'm always trying to share new ways to cover how people can use AI today. And so I cover the topic of how to use AI to be useful to old clients. So let's get on with it. So Meta, I've talked about them on and off in the newsletter, and I think what I like about their approach to AI is that it does seem to be a lot more collaborative, research-led, and leaning towards open source with the Llama model in particular. But I haven't seen it in social media until this week. So, there was an announcement that I sort of ignored about Meta AI becoming available in the social media suite. And so here's a screenshot of it. It popped up on my Instagram. One interesting fact about Meta is that Australia tends to be a bit of a guinea pig for early releases because the small market's a mature market, and so they can test things there before rolling it out to the rest of the world. And we're the beneficiaries. So that's what Meta AI looked like in my Instagram feed. And of course, I jumped in after a day or so and started asking questions. What are you capable of? And it gave me some sort of wordy answers. And so I'm trying to look for use cases like, can you send me a DM when I receive a comment on any Facebook group post I have made? And I think I can actually set this up with something like Zapier anyway. I investigated after receiving this answer. But yeah, it sort of made some stuff up as well. It said I can get an API key, but just going to the settings and grabbing it, but I actually can't. And I think this is very common in AI, particularly new AI, tends to hallucinate and invent stuff and predict what it thinks it might be the best answer is. But because this is a completely new thing, that's not actually accurate. The best use case though is that I've seen, I talked about this in the Ben's Bytes community. Someone said, they've seen it on WhatsApp. And so what you can actually do, because some planes allow you to use WhatsApp for free, must be an international thing, you can actually surf the web for current news, and then you're getting your news for free on your plane instead of paying for the internet. So, that's something. I did mention Ben Bytes just before. If you go to my newsletter, there's a special link, and you can click and get early bird access. I have been, speaking of beneficiaries, I've been a direct beneficiary of having access to this information on Ben's newsletter and subscribed and joined the community super quick smart because it's the lowest price it'll ever be. And I just, he's a really knowledgeable guy, and the community is pretty new, but talking about other nerds about these AI tools and use cases have been really fun. Cool. Let's change gears a bit. So there's my changing gears sound. Now, when I first saw this article a week ago, I was like, okay, this is pretty hard to break down and explain. And so I gave it a pass on last week. And then, funny story, one of my old colleagues, Patricia, messaged me on WhatsApp and said, hey, I can finally talk about this project because I'd you know, had some chats about it, with what she's been up to and what she's going to be up to in the future. And the interesting part was I saw this article and I did think, I wonder if this is the one she worked on. So let me break down what this is and I'll try and explain it in a basic language. And it's good practice for me, right? So basically, some things are too impossible to design as a human. And so there's elements of certain chips, particularly around semiconductors, that it's getting so granular and nanons and microns, and it's so tiny that it's impossible as a human to design solutions to spec or to optimize, with our own capabilities and even computers' capabilities. So enter the world of AI design, and what Google's department called Google X has done is create a AI design solution that focuses on that particular kind of chip. And so with that, they can design various kinds of chips that may or may not work. And in a computer environment, they've done something called a way of simulating the results, but at like real life levels of accuracy. And I've spoken before about digital twinning, where you can take data from the real world, put it into a computer, and then predict what's going to happen in the real world to the point of failure. And an old client I worked with, Fraser Nash Consultancy, they do this, at a very high scale. They can, upload the information about what's going on in a power generator, get all the real world data, plug it in the computer, then predict to the minute when it's going to fail. So that's pretty cool. But coming back to this example with the chips, what Google were able to do with this simulator is, okay, in the simulator, this chip outperforms anything we've ever seen before for this specific thing called a DMUX. And so the best part was they were able to take it out of the simulator and then build it at a semiconductor foundry. So again, going from tech or AI world into real world and then print it out. And so it's a bit hard to see on the screen, but this is a conventional design of a DMUX, and that's in 500 micrometers, 450 micrometers. It's still very small, but with this, revolutionary AI design, 14 micrometers and 16 micrometers. That's insane levels of gains. And to give you an idea of sort of the scale they're talking about, it's a fog droplet, like the tiniest droplet of a fog. And so that's cool. There's much more information about this that will go over most of our heads, if not all. But there's a study here with some interesting charts. I couldn't tell you what they do. I think the key takeaway here is there's a lot of hype and buzz about AI and it, being a hype machine and nothing else. This is the exact opposite of that. Someone has created something with AI that's impossible to design in a computer and then printed it out to be used for real world application in real world. And the interesting thing, because of the focus on chips, these things go in data centers, which there's currently a bottleneck with the amount of demand we're putting on these things in the cloud. So building tech with these tools, it's hard to explain how breakthrough it is, really. And so, yeah, my friend Patricia can now announce it. She put up a lovely LinkedIn post. I liked her analogy even better. A prism creating rainbows for separating the information. So, yeah, really interesting use case. Probably not interesting to all of you because it's like blah, 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 cutting edge, but there you go. So let's go back to today. Using AI for old client relationships. So this one is part of it, something I've been working on the last week or so. I've just been throwing feelers out and saying, hey, I've spent a year looking at all these things. What use cases or things you're trying to work out? I can help you. And so I did that in Sydney Startups Facebook group. And I might even show you the post. It's quite saying, hey, I've been following this for a while. Tell me something that you're thinking about for your business. I'll try and help you. I got, only one really good question, but I sort of reworked it to how can I be of more servants to my clients with AI? And so here's a recipe. This is something you could do or give it to someone techie to do for you, and it would work. So you can get a list of your current clients, either from your CRM or invoice. You can get an automation tool, basically simply to build more information than what you would have on your CRM. So website, industry, who their customers are, any PR and news appearance, and basically you're just building a very basic database about your clients. You can then use that database or a Google Sheet and prompt some ways to service your clients better. So, for example, you could say, you'd say it was an accounting business, using a spreadsheet, what's 5 repeatable ways I can service these clients better that are low touch, high impact? And you could throw that prompt in. You might get a shit answer back, but you can actually then grade that answer and give it some feedback. You can say, that's a shit answer. I want it to be less about accounting, and it give you more answers. And with that feedback loop, you'd have 5 actionable ideas on how to service your clients better. So that's pretty cool. You could, this is like stuff you can action today. I obviously have a list of old clients, and I'll see if I can do this. Pretty busy next week, but I'll see if I can do this over the next few weeks and circle back on this example just to show you that it's not. This isn't hypothetical hot air. It's stuff you can do. That's it for the week. I really enjoy writing these newsletters and I'm getting good incremental compounding feedback, I would say. And it's funny because I'm sort of borrowing from best practice and then trying to avoid other things. Like I think an email this long, it's a long email with the images and stuff. It's about 1,000 words each week. Yeah, best practice, if you listen to best practice, is 300, 400 words. People don't want to read that shit. But actually, I think my audience likes the thought out reading, the thought out videos. And so I'm happy to keep doing them and looking forward to the annual year anniversary coming up soon. All right, take care. Have a good weekend. And in case you missed it, Bulldogs won last night by like heaps of points. And that makes me happy. Take care. Bye.